Alright. I am back, and by the looks of things, just in time as things are starting to get settled. Those are some loud cranking engines. If you turn those down a little bit, see if maybe that'll help. And let's kick this bad boy off. Welcome to a new season, everybody who is joining us. Got an exciting one for you today. This is the Aston Martin Cup. It's the first time we're doing a locked car for the GT3 season. Took us 7 seasons to take that risk, but today we take it, and we'll see how people end up liking it. We've got 16 people signed up for today's event. We are on first with Rev 174, who is hammering his way through 740. The nice thing about doing Kuno's tracks is we know we're gonna have the whatchamacallit, track names. Man, these are some loud engines. I'm probably gonna have to turn these down a little bit, I'd imagine, for the broadcast. If anybody can even hear us, turn that down a little bit, and we will share broadcast link. Just trying to help out a few guys in the chat there. We'll get this posted. Sorry, I'm just trying to help out over here with a couple of our racers, get them into the grid. We will have Jawa joining in a little bit, so that should kind of help things out a touch. Really gonna have to turn the engine down a notch, I think. Go nearly 15%, see if that's okay. I'm seeing it's nothing crazy. We might even be able to turn it up a little bit from there. Alright. I've tagged in a couple support members. We'll see if maybe they can help me out. But we'll been watching Rev for a little bit. We'll jump over to someone else. We got a speed bump on the track. Oh, pulling off to the side, so he won't be going straight away for a clean one. So jump onto the mix with Patchy then. So per usual, this is the progressive weather, so to speak. These guys are going to start with 18 degrees here on the track, and it'll just get warmer throughout the sessions. Currently, they've got a 4 km/h wind, so not really helping them too much, not really having too much of an effect, although these guys do have some high acceleration cars, so possible that that will come into play. Patchy going through Tornatino. If anybody does have a sense as far as if the volume needs to be changed, just let me know. We'll take care of it. Obviously, multitasking gets interesting from time to time. So Patchy looking pretty good here. It's a short lap, only about a minute and 17 seconds. A minute and 12 seconds seems to be the running time. Just taking a look at today's event to confirm, yes, it is two 20-minute races with a reverse grid, so our usual style going into today's events. Looks like Speed Bump is sharing a little bit of a setup for everybody, and we'll jump on over to Tommy Boy, one of our fearless GT3 competitors who's been with us since the early days. I think it's about that time to see if maybe we can pull a couple of guys for some interviews. We didn't do it for the MX5 event because we were just kind of dialing some things in, but I do see a few guys looking to settle in the practice server, so let's jump on with one of them, Zane Ninja. Now we'll see if I can get this going. Zane, if you can hear me, I moved you over to the broadcast booth, but you got to accept an invitation to speak on Discord to do an interview. Don't know if you're on a straightaway where you can do that. Yeah, there you go. You're on the straightaway. That's perfect. Figured we'd get a little interview while you're doing a lap there in quite the American car.
Oh yeah, Merca. Oh, my force feedback stopped because I alt-tabbed.
Oh boy. Well, we'll try and make the interview short and sweet then. Zane, this is your first GT3 season with us, is that correct?
That is correct, yeah.
Well,
And I made my own livery.
excellent, excellent. Are you looking forward to today's events? Do you have any expectations or anything of the
My
sort?
expectations are to not finish last. I really, really hope that I don't finish last.
That's a strong one. I appreciate that. Now, you've been racing with us for a little while in the off season here. Have you gotten a chance to test out these Aston Martins at all?
A little bit, yeah.
And how do you
On
feel
this
they
track.
compare?
Very oversteering for me. I'm not super well versed in the setups, so I'm sure that can be fixed, but I'm just gonna live with it because that's how I've been practicing. So.
Understandable, understandable.
Yes, sir.
Well, I'll let you get your force feedback situation sorted because there's only 30 minutes left of practice, but we're definitely wishing you some luck today, Zane, and we'll see you out
Thank you
throughout
very
the
much.
race, all right?
All right, sounds good.
All right, we're going to let him go for a little bit. I'm going to turn this over to the auto cam just because I have tried to help. Then, oh, and looks like El Garito to the rescue. Perfect. So that situation is sorted. And we can get back to our classic drone cam. Oh, just in time to watch Patchy take things a little bit too rough into the back straightaway. So trying to get a look around, I'm not really sure who has custom liveries and who does not. I see Botlando working his way through in that blue 47 racer. Followed very closely behind by Patchy. So these guys rocking the same livery. There's going to be a couple of duplicates, not a lot of custom liveries submitted in this season. And since we're not using our usual GT3s, we just don't have the same groupings and opportunities to do that. I do see that we're slowly getting a few more in. So we got 8 racers currently working their way around the track. Rev leaving for just a moment. I'm sure we'll see him back. Keeping my eye on to see if there's any other issues. I know Zane was going to leave and come back in just to see if he could get that force feedback thing situated. We're trying to get one more racer in for today's event. I mean, there's a couple other guys, obviously, who are still coming, but All right, just want to let the racer know that we haven't really given up on them yet. Sorry, I know that was a quiet few moments around the track. Man, that light fog really isn't the most appealing thing for that Vallelunga track. It just kind of makes it look dull, gray, almost like a silver stony feel to it. Just that British atmosphere, if Asha's watching. But we do have a few other new racers on the track. Nate Wynn is another guy who signed up kind of towards the last minute there. Looks like he selected quite the default of default liveries. That thing really reflects the sky and sun around it. But it'll be easy to spot this guy. What's he got going on here? It looks like there is some sort of a attempted livery that might just not be loading well. I wonder who submitted that one and what it is supposed to be, per se. Unfortunately, sometimes that does happen with the custom livery stuff. It just gets a little boggled up. But we'll let Nate dial in a couple more things as we switch over to Josh Penzie, another new racer on the grid in the King Meat Snack Racer, number 37 car. Currently the only number 37 car on the grid, so we only have one duplicate so far, Patchy and Botlando. Those guys make a pretty good looking team together. I think we can let that fly. Lando just shy of the 211s. That seems to be the mark to try and hit right now. 211 should put you into that top pack by the time things come rolling around. Do you see El Garito and Josh Fulton working on some stuff behind the scenes? So hopefully we'll get those two in. And if they can get this Sir Doomy guy in, that's another 3 racers. Starting us off at 12 out of the 16 racers currently signed up. So easing on in. Now, a lot of these guys have gotten some good practice sessions in throughout the week. So this 45-minute practice might be a bit much considering how short these lap times are. Oh, a speed bump dips into the 111s. Ooh, and Josh takes it real wide through Semaphoro. But we'll jump on with Speed Bump, who seems to have his own custom livery for this season, if I'm looking correctly, the number 76 Pro Racer. This thing looks sweet. Do see the big dogs have been called in. Josh Fulton helping that final racer get his DNS stuff situated, so that will be helpful there. I know, again, it's not the easiest to see with the light fog at the moment, but you do have a little TV cam in your bottom right corner of the broadcast, just so you can get those cinematic shots throughout the event. Once the light fog clears, you'll see them a little bit better, but that's why we use the drone cam. It lets us get a good scope of things happening around us as Speed Bump slowly comes up on Nate Wynn. Seems to be suffering a little bit with some track limits issues, but it doesn't mean he can't get it back under control. We do not have real penalty enabled for today's event, so we won't be calling any safety cars, penalties, or anything else. Speed Bump looking to cut to the inside here on Nate Wynn, and does so, just getting a nice little practice session by here in Qual. Curious to see how accurate the flashing lights are. So it does say Nate, number 7. And currently Nate is number 7. Wow, okay, so those are actually pretty accurate, which is exciting for the race. We can check in on those and see exactly what we got going on. One thing we do want to get situated is the tire types, if we can. But I don't want to lose the ability to control the drone this early on in the practice session, so we're going to hold off for now. Gotten a few more racers into the chat, so we're going to grab one of the old faithfuls here. Always good for a broadcast interview. Mr. Tommy Boy himself. Tommy, you know the drill. Speak now or forever hold your peace. Tommy boy, you there? You've been. You gotta accept the invite if you are there.
Ah, this stinking system.
Yeah. I had a feeling. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, my friend. How are you?
Good. Welcome back to another season of GT3. Switching things up on you a little bit this season, huh?
Yes, you're making me use a car that has a very strange setup.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
It's
you could
throwing
tweak it
me
a
for a
little
loop.
bit.
A little bit. I can't get the rear camber higher than -2.2.
Yeah. Well,
It's an
everybody's
interesting
playing
story.
with the same limitations this season. That should hopefully make things a little bit interesting. I don't know if you've looked at your track layouts coming up, but this is your only short race to get used to it, and then we start hitting the long ones. So,
Oh, you're gonna start doing what you did on MX5s? All right.
well, I mean, I don't think it's exactly the same. I'll take a little look for you here just to confirm, but we do have Vallelunga for a 2x20, followed by 45 minutes of Black Cat, 220 minutes of Laguna, a 45-minute at Highland, and we end with an hour of Nords.
Hour of Nords, huh?
Oh yeah.
I can't wait to bin it in turn 1. Wait, this is regular Nords, not classic?
Regular. Well, without the Nürburgring.
Okay.
Yeah. So it'll be a nice little Nords one, and
You know how to
hopefully you'll.
treat a dude, you know that?
You know, I figured I'd get you guys a nice season to enjoy things. That Highlands one, always a favorite. It's got that small little cobblestone section in the middle of it, and then Black Hat, just a good old-fashioned highway track, should be interesting for everybody.
There's gonna be a lot of fun with that, I can just tell.
Oh yeah, that's what we go for here. You know the drill. But enough about the upcoming season. Let's talk about tonight. Have you worked with anything? Worked on this car at all, or is tonight you're going in raw?
I'm going in raw.
Very nice. Well,
I'm
how do you
familiar
like
with
your
the track
odds?
to a degree,
Mhm.
but the car is a very outlandish feel to me.
Understandable. It looks like your times aren't too far off the pace. You do got now a second to drop because Speed Bump put up a whopper of a time there, but nothing too crazy. Do you feel like it's something you can slowly get a handle on, or do you think you're fighting too far off the back foot here?
I know that I can put up a 1:11.6.
Okay.
It will take some getting used to whichever setup I'm using at the time, but I know I can get to it.
That's exciting.
So we're looking to ease into it slowly but surely. By the way, if you ever end up talking to that Arian Castro guy, tell him I'm sorry. I dive bombed him, touched him. I think he got pissed off and then pit maneuvered me.
Understandable. Well, hopefully we keep those incidents to a minimum throughout the race there, but we'll certainly pass the message along and go from there. But I'll let you get back focused. You got 22 minutes left of practice, and it looks like you got a lot of rookies looking for some guidance over in the chat, so send you on your way.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Jawa, welcome back, buddy. Let me guess, you're not.
And
Oh,
I was
there you go.
muted. There we are. Sorry about that.
No, you're good. You're good. How's it going, bud?
I'm doing alright. Just woke up from a tiny little nap there. I've been flying all day, so had to get prepped for tonight.
Very nice. So, no MX5 or GT3 season for you this time, huh? Gonna let the guys battle it out amongst themselves?
No, I think I'm just gonna stick to about one season at a time. Do the F1 season is kind of where I'm at right now.
Very
Hope
nice.
you guys having fun.
Oh yeah, we got a lot of battling going on. I mean, very evenly matched cars for the first time in a while. So, no excuses really to have on the track.
For sure. And some would say they are completely even.
And I'm just taking a peek to see. Looks like we got a couple of guys still looking into a couple of various things like. Ooh, Do we have someone just kind of spun off on the side there? We might have. I think we did for a second, but I'm just looking around to see exactly where all the custom liveries lie. Oh, looks like we have one over here. Maybe. It doesn't currently match the name of any of our racers, but looks cool. I
It
think
does indeed.
Speed Bumps is. I know that. And I believe Z Ninja's American flag one is.
I actually spoke to him about this livery a couple nights ago.
Yeah, yeah.
This is his first ever go at making a livery himself, and I must say it turned out pretty dang well.
Yeah, it's very stylish indeed. We're then gonna switch on back here. Patchy, I've seen a lot of guys in this blue, so this is gonna be one of the Kunos ones. Because we got 247s and a number 2 all in this blue one here. And we'll kind of use the bend to our advantage. So I'm allowing to Nate Wynn, who is in a shockingly white Aston Martin here. It looks like something happened with the livery. Can't fully tell, but looks like he's also been swinging this thing in the dirt a little bit. You can really tell on the white liveries how when they've gone off track, it is covered in mud for now.
For sure, the mod designer definitely did a good job of letting you know when this car has done a little bit of off-roading.
And Nate coming in hot here. We'll leave him for a moment as we jump in with Sir Doomy, one of the other new races on the track. A lot of new names tonight. We've got Ben, let's see, so Sir Doomy, Ben, Nate Wynn, Castro, Z Ninja, Penzi, all new racers. So number 6 through number 11, all brand new. We see Bullet joining now. That's one that we are familiar with. And then up at the top 5, we have some of our old-time racers there. Looks like Rev's still away for the moment. We'll see if he joins us anytime soon. I don't think I've raced here since we did go-karts.
Yeah, I don't. The last time I ever raced here at Vallelunga, is it correct?
Yep.
Was raced at LFM in the MX5s.
Yeah. These Kunos tracks don't get a ton of love, so we try and squeeze them in where we can. We were just going over it with Tommy Boy right before you hopped in, but this is going to be a relatively Kunos season. Next week, these guys go to Black Cat for a 45-minute race, then to Laguna for 220s, then Highlands for 45, and then Nords for an hour. So, very Kunos season indeed.
Sure, and a very wide variety of tracks. When I mean wide variety, I mean very interesting polar opposites, right? Lunga is a tighter, shorter circuit, and obviously the complete opposite to that is Nords, also being tighter, short circuit, but very long. You guys have a lot to work with on their plate for this season. I'm excited to see what they can do.
They're certainly going to have to send some strong messages here. And that's the thing when you've got such a variety in these track sizes. Even Laguna is probably a little bit of a step up from this one. Is, you know, different guys have different levels of endurance within themselves. So we'll see who can really excel once we get to these longer and longer distances throughout the season.
For sure, and not only just distances, but track types, right? You have Vallelunga here, which is a very fast, flowy track versus some of these other ones that aren't quite as flowy. I would say Laguna is a faster, flowy track, but there's definitely a big, it's a very diverse track selection this season, and some guys are going to prefer certain tracks to others. I certainly understand that because I have personal favorites and ones that I don't enjoy so much or aren't as fast at. But definitely not, this season is not catered to one style of driving whatsoever.
Yeah, as we see these guys all again using equal machinery this season, so that's going to be the exciting factor. It is curious that we don't see as many racers as usual in voice chat this time around, so I'll be curious to see if they if more join in for the race, or if we've got a season of just hyper-focused competitors.
For sure, and you said earlier that we have a lot of new competitors, so that could also be one of the things as well. Some of these newer guys aren't quite ready to hop in the VC and chat while they're racing. You know, we have a group of guys that typically hop in there week after week, and I do see a few of them, but I think if people become more comfortable this season, they may hop in there and start chatting a lot. But it is the first race of the season, so these guys are definitely looking to be locked in and ready to go.
Right. And funny you should say that, because we do see in the Discord chat, Sir Doomy podcast in, and I'm locking in. So podcast going while he's racing. That is quite the combo. I don't know if I could do that.
Yeah, I don't know if I could either. There's too many things, and I have to be completely silent whenever I race. No music, no nothing. So I give them props for being able to listen to a podcast and focus on two things at once.
Yeah, I mean, when I first started out on sim racing, I definitely was on the team music, while I was driving for a long time. But I think it was Mo who was actually telling me that it helped him out to stop, and then I eventually stopped. And I don't know. I mean, maybe I've just improved because I've been driving more, but I've definitely come a long way since then. So sometimes it helps to just lock in, but everybody locks in differently. I mean, you see the clips of these F1 drivers practically singing while they're doing 140 through a hairpin, so each their own.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think I quite have the focus to be able to sing and drive that fast in real life either way. So big props to those guys.
Yeah, I was just taking a peek up there to see how high up that elevation change was. So it looks like we did not make these guys go do that side section. Oh, but even that doesn't get up into there. So what am I looking at over here? Oh, that's just a giant parking lot? Oh, okay. Parking lot looks like a racetrack. Damn. ADD kicking in. Leave me alone.
No
Oh,
worries,
wow.
man. Sorry, I'm still a little out of it. Still waking up here after my little midday nap, which I probably shouldn't have taken.
I feel that. I should probably grab a beer, honestly.
That's a great idea.
Let's see, we got Tommy Boy here. How about this? I'm gonna put on auto cam. I'm gonna step out to grab a beer real quick. I'll be back in a moment. I'll leave things in your very capable hands.
Perfect. Sounds good. Alrighty, let's take a look here at some of our times for this evening. I know it is just practice, but this is going to give us a pretty decent gauge of how quick some of these drivers are today. We do see Speedo improving his time further to 11.293, about 2/10 quicker than he was a couple laps ago. We checked in with him. We see Balando shooting up into the 11th as well. I think he's been there for a couple of laps now, but we spoke to Tommy Boy. Wasn't quite here for that interview, but they were telling us that they are definitely going to be able to get into those 11s, 11.6s, I think. So still a few tenths to find, 7/10 to find for them before they get into quali. Again, some of these guys are going to be running a race fuel setup for this practice, trying to make sure that they're comfortable on that in that car that is going to be loaded down and heavier and more sluggish through some of these corners. Now on board with Patchy, or I stand corrected, Speed Bump, our fastest driver on the track currently. Seems like they are out for another hot lap here. Seem to be up on their delta just slightly. We'll see if they can keep that time going. Speedbump seems to have lost that little bit of time that he had gained earlier on in his lap, but still plenty of time to make small corrections and find those last few tenths. Now aboard with Josh Penzi, one of our newer racers. Haven't seen this name on track before. They seem to be on a pretty decent lap here. Delta seems to be a little bit buggy, so they could be on an out lap. Easter Doomy, they're getting a little bit sideways and just losing the car and slamming that outside wall there. Good thing these aren't real cars, because that would have been expensive. Back aboard with Patchy here now, one of our longtime racers, very comfortable sitting in that 112.4, well within the top 5 there. Does seem like everybody sort of has a buddy here that is running similar pace to them, so nobody should be alone on track for this race. I know this race, if I remember correctly, is a verify. Before I goof it up, it is 2 20-minute races. So it's very, very short races this evening. So these guys are going to be looking to push as hard as they can, as quickly as they can.
All right, I'm back. Looks like we still only have 2 guys in that time there, huh? Creeping into the 11s.
Yeah, I did say that there are just everyone seems to have a buddy this evening. You know, someone within half a second or a couple tenths of them. So no one should be lonely in this 20-minute race tonight.
It seems like it'll be like a Wednesday's race, just a couple of big fights going on, just not near each other.
For sure, we do have quite a few guys on this track, though. I mean, it is a small circuit, so there should be plenty of action.
Yeah, I'm expecting at the very least, I'm sure we'll see some lap traffic come into play. It did not become a deciding factor, so to speak, in the events Wednesday or on Monday, but we'll see if it becomes one today. Almost did. But it came down to a pit strategy, I think. I don't know if you were there. Actually, I don't think we've discussed it on the broadcast, but we did get confirmation in the MX5 event that who was in the lead? Was it Piggy, I want to say? Had an issue with a pit stop strategy, and that is where it all went wrong.
At Albert Park last week, or on Monday?
Yeah.
I do remember being there watching that one. We did go through it. I think went through it again and watched the replay on stream there, and it definitely showed the slight mishap when it came to the pit stop. But I think I'm gonna run to the gas station and grab myself a few beverages before we started. You've got me onto it, so I'll be back momentarily.
I can't say I blame you there. But in the meantime, I'll stick with Patchy here, who's not seeing much improvement at the end of that long straightaway. Tries to make up for it through Samini, and does. He gets those 3 tenths back, but now doesn't have a ton of opportunity to make up that time he was probably looking for. He could be about a half second up right now, and I'm sure he's going to feel it right about here. This is a spot where you can get a tremendous improvement, but a big locking up on the brakes there. You can hear them squealing at him. It's a little bit more of a run into the corner, so he gets some more speed, momentarily green on the Delta, but ultimately just battling with his own time. Seems like he's just finding a new line for the same results. but that's only momentarily. We've seen Patchy really lock into a car after a couple minutes with it. He's got his love and hatreds, but he does seem to find ways to connect already this season, back into the top 5 just off a few practice laps. So starting to see the form of the Patchy we know and love. Really, it might have just been that car last season that he wasn't feeling, but he made it through the season. We respect him for it, and we're ready to see what he can do here as pulls off a nice little maneuver, leaving plenty of space there. I want to say for Nate Wynn, as they both head around through into the straightaway. Patchy again trying to make up that time. We're going to bounce away for just a moment as he's still trying to hunt into those 211s, and we'll take a peek at Josh Penzie, who's on a hot lap. Not sure if it's a clean one. Trying to look. It is currently. This could be big improvements there, almost into the 12s, but it'll be a mid-13s as he has a rough final corner. But a mid-13s puts him into a new fight, and he gets himself ahead of Rev174, who has yet to rejoin the grid. Again, we are still hoping to see him lock in at some point. Now jump over to somebody else trying to make their way into a decent time there. Oh, Sir Doomy off track. We'll let him rejoin. Oh, as he rejoins into the middle of a little bit of a deja vu corner, we've got the 76 car chasing down the 76 car as they both pass the 76 car, heading towards the final corner. Roma making it count. Speed bump trying to decide his best angle here. Knows he's already got caught up in enough traffic where he won't see massive improvements, but Bullet will as he jumps up to a 2:16.7. Speed bump going to try and catch a little bit of a toe here. We'll see if he can use it to his advantage. He does as Bullet goes off, and that's going to let the other 76 car of Sir Doomy go flying by a little bit. Doomy now trying to make his way down into the 17 to catch up with Nick Wynn. A lot of space for improvement in that final sector, so we'll see him pick it up pretty shortly here. I believe he had a little bit of an incident, around that bend. You can see he's almost a second up already, and takes a little bit of an awkward line through Torrentino, so that'll be one of the space for improvement. And here is one of the awkward bends, and I think that's going to be the time. So if he can find a little bit of a smoother coasting motion through that bend, I think he'll be right in with the gap. But this is a pretty solid, clean lap we're on with him here. I think he's going to get the jump on Nate Wynn as he barrels down towards the line. It's going to be a little close, but he manages to break into the 16. So still chasing down Bullet, not ready to let go of his fellow 76 car just yet. Heading on over to Tommy Boy. He just put up a 1:12.3, so starting to connect with the car despite not being able to really tweak that setup to the style he's looking for. Pushing his way through the track now as he's gonna be on a hot lap, has a little bit of traffic to get by off the bat, but does so and managed to have a slight bit more acceleration than he did on his previous hot lap. Has to come off the gas just a little bit more than usual though, and finds himself a 10th down heading into Samini. So his exit's going to be a key portion here. Can he make up that time he lost? Looks like he won't, as he comes out of it 2/10 down off his time, and he is slowly dropping back more and more. I don't think this is going to be the lap he finds that 1:11, but as you can see from Speed Bump, there's a full second left on the board to grab, so I don't know, he could grab it somewhere. I have a feeling it's going to be that line through this sector right here. I think Speed Bump has found a way to really ride through there. Not exactly like that, but something like it. We'll hop on with the lead car and see exactly what his lines are through a few of these sectors. So he does brake a little bit more than we've seen some of the racers through that corner. and goes very deep into Semaphore, but you did see he lost a little bit of time there, so I don't think that's his usual line. That seems to be a little bit more natural. Oh, although he loses 3/10 there, so still not on his line yet. We're not going to get a good sneak preview. So just a little bit of a coast and takes it out wide there. We'll see if maybe this next one he can get the grip back and show us what's going on. It is overtime, so I'm not sure exactly that he'll be able to finish another one, but hey, at least he's going to try. We'll see if we can pick up exactly where all this time is on the board. He keeps things relatively flat through there and into Samini with a big line through, riding the edges. He's flat a little bit earlier through Samini, and I think most of the racers are, so that's probably where he's getting a lot of speed into this back straightaway. And through Trincia, like I said, he tugs that inside a little bit heavier on the brakes. It's this corner here, I think, is a tricky one. I think speed's taking a tough enough line that it kind of bounces back and forth as to whether you hit it or not. So that inconsistency through that line might help, but it looks like his slow laps are still in the 112s, low 112s at that. So seems like speed is set for a strong performance, but that's just practice. We've got a whole qualifying session to come. About a minute and 30 seconds till these guys hit the track for qual, and we'll see where we go from there. We do have our usual broadcast cars sitting at the back of the grid. Livery design brought to us by Cam. And you can get a good look at the Techly Racer there. Always love these liveries. I should have had my special keybind button set up because I think there's lights or something on this one. Or maybe like the satellite opens or something. I don't know. Knowing Cam, it's something cool. Wouldn't be surprised. You can see Techly Racing, proud home of real rookie racing and real amateur racing. Oh, look at that. It's got like the whole logo there. A lot of attention to detail on this thing. Is that in the window? That's pretty funny. That's a nice touch. I never even noticed that. That's cool. All right, we got the racers getting ready here for qualifying. The weather has shifted to a little bit of a heavy cloud, so things will start to clear up. Track now 20 degrees Celsius, and there's a 17-kilometer-an-hour crosswind on the track. That's actually pushing them off the track right there a little bit, where your speed bump just went through. So again, these cars don't have a ton of aero to them, but they are much more aerodynamic than the MX-5s we followed on Monday. So we'll see if that high cross breeze has any effect. Lando is the first racer out on the track. He'll be the first one to have a clean lap. So as is tradition, we will join on with him first. But we will check in with everybody else in a little. 10 racers currently on the track, all getting ready to get their shot in. We have Adrian Castro rejoining to make it a nice even 11. And that number 47 car using every inch of the track, trying to get the tires warm, get ready for a clean one. So as he crosses the line on his outlap, Lando going to have a 121. That's a pretty quick outlap, and it's quick enough that we'll be able to track his time throughout the entirety of his first hot lap. So it takes a bit of an awkward line through Samini. We saw Speed Bump take that a little bit wider and get on the gas a little bit longer. We'll see how this one shapes up for Lando. Currently sitting just shy of that 111, around a 112 mark. If you can keep it clean, that might have been a violation. But at the moment, he is still pushing. We'll hang on and see what he came up with. Does look like he's on a clean lap currently. Had improvements in Sector 1, not in Sector 2. Currently 9.2 seconds up on his time. It's going to be cutting it a little bit close. He's got to have a strong finish here to the line, but I think he could find himself in the 112s pretty comfortably, as only time will tell. And that is a 112.16. Does beat out Speed Bump's first hot lap of a 112.175, separated by less than 1/100th of a second currently. And Speed Bump trying to chase back that time. He saw the 111.3 in practice. Different conditions now, but hopefully something he can make work with. The nice thing about these laps being so short is that we can just bounce from one racer to the next. Speed Bump starts to lose a little bit of time heading into Semaforo, but gains it back with a solid exit. Another clean line, this time through Torrentino. You can see a few of these cars almost battling each other in the background there. Interesting choices for qualifying, but Speed already seeing some improvement here in the final sector. Half a second up for a minute, but loses that heading through Roma. Will round off with enough of an improvement to get into the 11s, puts a 111.8 on the board. And I think he's going to be pretty happy with that to start. Less than 5 minutes into qualifying, so he's got time enough for almost 10 laps. We do see Ben save himself a little bit, but that will hurt his acceleration into this straightaway. Not going to be the best attempt at a lap here. See if Doomy is able to catch up, maybe use that draft to his opportunity. Cuts it close on the curb there, but manages to stay just shy of. As they are nearly a second up on their time heading into Samini, so good strong start to the lap. As they make their way into the back straight. Through Trincia now. You can see Ben has a little bit of a hard time. That nearly costs Sir Doomy. Good reaction times makes it so they don't end up coming to contact. But Ben does unfortunately have a little bit of an issue getting on to the track. So we'll go from there. Just a moment there. Alright, we just sent a little reminder just to be cautious when rejoining. You know, last thing we need is anybody feeling like they lost an opportunity there. Jump on with Nate Wynn, one of our newcomers here, currently in the blank racer. A little bit up on his time, but that time is a 2:15, so I'm guessing all of that time will come back in just a moment here. You see an infraction, so there must have been a cut somewhere along the way. Was it on this lap? It seems like it might have been. Nonetheless, we will stick with Nate, see if he can make something happen in the back sector here. We'll just have blind faith that this is a clean lap and cheer him on. 8 minutes and 40 seconds left of quali, so a lot of time for things to change. And speaking of change, I believe in 1 minute's time they will do so. Possibly. I don't actually remember. Let me see. Oh, you know what? The weather itself, I think, had the opportunity to change here in 10 seconds, but I think I messed up and it's still going to be heavy clouds. We'll find out here in 3, 2, 1. Oh, Nate heard the countdown and turned into a rocket ship. And yes, we do have a change in weather, an odd one. So 15-kilometer-an-hour wind in the opposite direction across degrees, and now 23 Celsius on the track. So that's going to be a little bit nicer for the tires. Hopefully these guys can exercise a little bit more speed, get their elbows out a touch. They'll have a little more grip as things start to heat up. Still waiting for my co-host Jawa to return from the beer run. I'm sure he'll be back any moment now. It's kind of me just testing to see if he is back. A very, very nice batch of new faces on the grid this season. Again, for those just joining us, you probably don't even recognize a lot of the names there. And that is because we have over half the grid as new racers. The Aston Martin seems to be a popular one amongst the latest batch of real rookie racers. We'll jump now on with Zay Ninja in his Jeep, the number 13 racer, swinging down the back straight with some tremendous pace. That American flag racer going phenomenally quick through Curvone. And through Samini as well. I feel like the Eagle headlights are a nice touch. I wish you could like carve headlight shapes. Or let me rephrase that. I wish I was talented enough to understand how these things worked and carve headlight shapes on the car, because I'm sure there's a way. I am just not skilled enough to pull that kind of a thing off. But anyway, Eagle-shaped headlights. Be hilarious. It says he is number 5, but he is number 4 currently. Wonder if... Oh, there you go. Number 4 now. I'm very curious to see how well those update throughout the race. I think they're going to do pretty good. They seem to be keeping up here in the early moments. Is that a wild Jawa I hear?
Oh, you can hear that? That is a wild Jawa. I did not interrupt you.
No, welcome. You're jumping in at an interesting point. We got a speed bump and Bot Lando in the 11s together. Got Patchy and Zane in the 12s. Zane just barely with a 999. Tommy Boy just barely shy with a 13067. Then Josh Penzi has a 13.9. Bullet with a 115. Castro Win both with 116s. And Doomy with a 118. Ben still looking for a lap.
Seems like we have quite the close competition.
Yeah, not too far of a spread here. And we did just have the track warm up a little bit. These guys have a pretty strong crosswind. 15-kilometer-an-hour crosswind on the track right now. So definitely a couple of things going against them, so to speak.
For sure, those crosswinds don't help when you're trying to do some heavy braking. It does unsettle the car just a little bit. Shouldn't be enough to make it a big issue for these guys. The speed bump here, just looking to make his way around the see. It was that wind there, Nate Wynn.
We should kick the wind up to like 40.
Oh, we should actually like give them hurricane conditions.
Yeah, what's it, 60? I think
winds.
60.
I
60,
have no
I think,
idea,
or
but,
maybe I think 60 is tornado and 80 is hurricane, something like that. I know they scale up.
Yeah, I got no idea. But it'd be kind of funny to do a little open event where we had some crazy winds or just crazy weather in general.
Yeah, I'll just have the weather change every minute for the whole 20-minute race.
That'd be a rough one. Change the temperatures. They're all just, each lap is just a whole different ball game.
Get warmer for 3 laps, drop it to like 2 degrees for 1 lap.
That's just who can survive the longest.
Oh, that'd be fun. Maybe next Wednesday, if I got time to set all that up, that'd be fun.
Definitely would.
So
Tommy Boy's now found the 12s there. There's a 12, 7, 8, putting him in the top 3.
Very nice. I was gonna say Speed Bump's line seems to be very on edge. We've seen his lap times really waver from that 11.5 to a 12.5, sticking within like a 1 second range. So I wonder how that's going to play out for consistency in the race. I haven't seen Lando's line too much to see where he's at, but did put up his fastest lap with a 1:11.6 on the last one. These guys are working
Baleno's
very hard.
creeping towards speed bump. They're trying to take that P1 position in these last final laps before they get set up on the grid.
Ooh, and speed now getting caught up in a little bit of traffic. I'm sure he's not going to be too thrilled with that, but understands everybody's trying to set their qualifying time. He's at the top of the board. Oh, and looks like we've got a special guest in another 76 car. Josh Fulton able to make it to the grid here at the last second tonight, running on basically no practice, only a few laps of qual. It looks like might only get 3 by the time everything is all said and done. That's a true racer.
For sure. He looks comfortable, though. It looks like he knows where he's going and is comfortable in that car there.
Yeah, I do see him out working pretty hard. He is on the soft tires, so has that little bit of extra grip that helps on the fresh rubber. But we'll see what he's made of. He will be the last racer we follow, so apologize to some of the guys we may not have shown some love to. It is a 5-week season, though. We'll definitely get a chance to cover everybody and all the action. But for now, we look at a man with only 1 lap of practice. What can he do? Making his way through Simini. I feel like I'm butchering these names and someone is going to be upset about it, but I am sorry. That's all that matters. Josh already 30 seconds up on his time. Doesn't mean much because it was an outlap, so we won't know exactly where he's at till the end. Currently working his way through Semaforo. Looking at the live timings board, he had a 23.2, which seems to be relatively quick. A 22.3 seems to be a little bit closer to average, low 22s. Second sector going to be a 22.7. That one seems to be a little bit closer to the pace. And now heading into the final corner, he will make it around pretty close to the 1 minute mark, but will he have enough overtime to do one more? That is the $1 million question, and I'm not so sure he will. But it puts up a 1:15 already. That's not too shabby. So off of
Putting him within the top 10.
Yeah, I mean, 2 laps of practice lands himself a P8 in qualifying, and that second lap being his qualifying time. I mean, not a bad showing, plenty of time, and it's 2 races with a reverse grid to get things sorted. So even if he has a rough first race while he's figuring things out, that puts him in a good spot for race 2.
No, most definitely. I mean, and Josh is definitely one of those guys who is able to get himself comfortable with a track and car pretty quick. So definitely am expecting to see him put up a good battle, whether that's in the later stages of the first race, but for sure the second race.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just letting the camera bounce around through some of these guys now as we head towards the final few moments of qualifying. Everybody's going to be dialing in their fuel strategies. I'm pretty sure the soft tires last long enough for these to where they won't have to worry about it. I think only these 45-minute races and the hour-long races where we will actually see that come into play. I'm thinking now that we have these smooth weather changes, maybe we'll have some weather changes during the 45-minute and the 1-hour race, you know? Keep things a little interesting.
Change it up a little bit on these guys, make them think about the outside factors a little more than just their car on a racing surface.
Yeah, put like heavy fog in for 30 seconds.
Oh geez, yeah, that's your that is the buggy tried and true right there.
Exactly.
Not sure how happy everyone would be with that, but it would definitely be interesting to watch. We'll give it that. See a few guys, seems Josh and Bullet last two, or actually, as well as Speed Bump, last 3 cars out on track and have not been given the checkered flag quite yet. I assume this will be their last lap. And I stand corrected, no one gets a last lap. They're done.
Yeah, that overtime is a quick one when the fastest lap is only 1 minute and 11 seconds. Not a lot of leeway there. But I gotta say, I'm excited. I think we're gonna see some good battles here. So it looks like Speed and Botlando are definitely gonna have a fight. Tommy Boy, Zane, and Patchy gotta work together to catch up to them, put themselves in that mix. Josh Penzi, Bullet, and we know Josh Fulton will be right in the middle of that battle. And then Castro win, and I'm pretty sure Doomy and Ben can find that extra time and join that battle. We'll have a nice little group there. So I think we're gonna end up with maybe 4 groups, 3 if we're lucky and we can get some teamwork out of P3 to 5. P3 to P5. Any bold predictions for this one?
That's a great question. I'm thinking that we may see. Oh, actually, I don't know. I'm trying to think. These shorter races are kind of harder to make comments on or have any predictions on because the majority of the strategy is all the same. Drive as fast as you can for as long as you can until that checkered flag is out.
Yeah, and I mean, the strategy is tried and true with these 20-minute ones. These guys have 1 minute and 30 seconds, it seems, until the race begins. So a lot of time to kind of settle in, get things going. I think that was supposed to be 60 seconds. I might have messed that up, but hey, it'll be fine. But we'll latch on to Speed Bump up front, followed closely behind by Botlando, Tommy Boy, Z Ninja, Patchy, Josh Penzi, Bullet, Josh Fulton, Adrian Castro, Nick Wynn, Sir Doomy, and Ben. So 45 seconds. You can hear guys already burning off a little bit of fuel. Everybody's right at the edge of the pit box. It's funny that that's where it lines them up. But you'd get a false start penalty if you pulled up to that marker.
I did notice that. I was a little curious, but it's just
that would drive me nuts.
How the track is.
Yeah,
I don't think these guys are too worried about it. I think they're just ready to get to racing here as we have 20 seconds until those lights drop and we are underway for our first race of the NA GT3 season here at Triple R.
Yeah, this is definitely set to be a good one. The red lights are officially on. You can hear those engines roaring, and let's get Season 7, the Aston Martin Cup, kicked off. Speed Bump with a tremendous start, gets up ahead of the grid. Looks like we got some movement in the back of the pack as well. Someone trying to make their way around the outside. I think that's going to be Bullet looking for a move. Not able to find one as Tommy Boy and Botlando go side by side. Heading towards Simini. This is the big one as we see contact between Bullet and Castro. That causes a little bit of a bowling situation there as everybody's scrambling to get back on the track. Jumping now in with Ben, who finds himself at the back of the chaos, watching as Sir Doomy, Josh Fulton, and Nick Wynn battle it out currently for P7. Well, we see Josh Fulton going off the track. It's a little bit of a tough one. Josh Penzi and Nate Wynn going head-to-head as they head around Semaforno. We've got some slight issues with connection from Bullet there. Hopefully that lag setting is kicked in to where he won't be causing any collisions. But we'll have to see how that goes as Josh Fulton finds himself in quite a precarious situation. So going to be working off the back foot here as we see the cars bouncing all around the grid. We are going to jump forward just a little bit now because Botlando is in the draft of Zane Ninja and will be looking for that opportunity before you get to Simini. Can he make something stick? It's going to be a tricky one. And of course, as soon as we turn away, Josh Fulton takes the position from Bullet. We see in the standings, Josh Fulton seems to have gone off the track though, and now finds himself fighting from the back of the pack. Lando is going to have to line himself up for another opportunity. We see him inching closer and closer. Might have picked up a little bit of a track cut there, but still sticking with him. Zane doing a great job of just covering his line. He's not even really being defensive, just doing a good job of holding it. We're going to use that as an opportunity. Ooh, I was going to say to look back as Sir Doomy and Bullet get into a bit of a collision. And we see Josh Fulton going wide in the background as well. So those two racers, Doomy and Fulton, going to be working in a little bit of their own head-to-head. We'll jump over to Patchy now, looking for a move past Nick Wynn if he can find it. Does have a little bit more acceleration heading into Roma, but has to back off. Doesn't want to risk getting squeezed with 17 minutes still remaining in the session. We've got a lot of tight battles going on.
For sure. I mean, we're seeing those quite a few packs forming, the 2 or 3 driver packs popping up here and there, which have given us some really great racing so far. As Patchy there looking for a move through on Nate Wynn there. It does make it stick, and it goes a little bit deep, and Patchy picks up P7. Now looking to hunt down Penzi in the number 37 Aston Martin. Also in a battle of his own with Arian Castro, who seems to have opened his door and just letting a little bit of air in to that cab. Must have had an issue with the AC system, and need to cool down a little bit.
I don't think we've ever seen that.
I don't think we have either, but that is one way to block off the inside corner, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, the door is definitely open. I don't know, is that something you can collide with? I mean, I guess Josh Penzi is going to be the man to try and find out for us. Bullet taking a position away from Ben further down the leaderboard. As just to update you, Speed Bump is holding Tommy Boy off by 2 seconds, who's got Zay Ninja in the rear, got Lando behind him. These guys currently 9 seconds ahead of this battle that we're watching now. And I still just cannot get over the open door. I'm really rooting for Penzi to get a little bit closer here, see if maybe he can try and take that outside pass and give us the answer we're all looking for.
It doesn't seem to be slowing Castro down whatsoever, so I would assume it's not a collidable object and more of just a visual thing. But it is definitely funny as we see somebody, the Patchy, looking to make a move here down the inside. Wow. And he does.
Yeah, we didn't even see Patchy coming up the ranks like that, but he's going to get 2, I think, right here in this sector. Goes for another late one. He'll go around the outside, not when we wanted him to, but still enough to make it interesting. He's going to have to make a decision, though. This is a tough corner to send 2 through without everybody losing a little bit of time. And he does separate the group up just a little bit. He does set Penzi up for a small run. And Patchy getting close to that door. Can he get through it? Gives him a little bit of a bump draft, just a small nudge. Unsettles the car, but gives him enough speed to keep going. So that is not too bad. Castro, Passy, and Penzi all working pretty hard to, at this point, just battle things out. I don't think they're going to be working together to catch up to P4. A little bit of rubbing his racing going on. Oops, sorry.
No, we see. Oh my goodness, there is that Castro gets shoved out wider.
Yeah, Patchy definitely gives him a little bit of a nudge. That sends Castro a little bit further back. Doesn't look like he lost too much time though, because he is right here getting chased down by Nate Wynn. So we actually got a 4-way battle for P5 coming together here. If Nate can use Castro to his advantage, pick up a few seconds here. Oh, and as I say that, Castro has his own spin. We'll see exactly what that costs him as he is off track, looking for a chance to rejoin. He's got quite a few guys in the mix here. We now have Ben, Castro, and Bullet all racing together, and I think that's going to be Josh Fulton, who's a lap down but still fighting with these guys. Just that door, man, never gets old.
It's a great accessory right there.
Yeah, I mean, that is a sight. It's beautiful. All right, speaking of beautiful, this gap is slowly starting to close up front here. We see Zay Ninja, Tommy Boy slowly getting closer and closer to Speed Bump and each other. 13 minutes to go, so definitely a lot of opportunity for something to happen there. Oh, as Zane pops the curb just a little bit. Thankfully, it doesn't cost himself too much time. A lot of consistency coming out of these top three. And relatively the top four is Lando getting back on form here this lap. Had a little bit of a rough one on not the previous one, but the one before that. So trying to get back on the pace and surely will. We see Adrian Castro inching closer to the rear bumper of Ben. So we'll jump over for a moment. It's really the battle of the midfield today.
For sure. No, there's these guys are all within a couple seconds of each other, and I've been looking to gain as many positions as they could early on. I think we're going to see these guys start to split up just a little bit as we get into the back half of this first race here. As these guys settle in, and as we see some of these guys may have had some incidents causing their tires to heat up or flat spot. So.
Yeah, we do see on the live timings a little bit of bump drafting going on with Josh Fulton and Bullet further up ahead, so that'll give them both some slight advantage as we see Nate win off the track here. So Nate, who was having a pretty solid one, now losing the grip here on the grass. It does take a moment to gain enough traction to really get forward and get moving. He's going to have the rest of the grid coming up on him shortly here, though, so he'll have to do something as he takes his time getting straightened out and hits the gas. So that'll put Sir Doomy into a little bit of a motivating position. Doomy now only separated by about 8 seconds, it seems, so has a lot of opportunity there. Not too far behind them, though, Zay Ninja currently working to chase down Tommy Boy in that number 13 GT Racer. I really want this battle to happen. Zane's been catching up closer and closer. He's been doing a tremendous job of ripping this Aston Martin around the track.
They seem to be very comfortable in that car today, especially at this track. A great fight with these top two guys ahead. We see the gap is closing and then see a mistake or two made by one of the drivers and it expands again. But they've all relatively stayed within about 2 seconds of each other the entire race. We see Tommy had fallen off just a little bit from the about 1.5 second gap he had to Speed Bump ahead. Now a little over 2. See if he can reel Speed Bump back in. But Zane has definitely put up a great fight so far today and is looking to close that gap even more.
He's getting very, very close there, and then I mean, they're so evenly matched, it's just sector to sector at this point, but they are starting to come up on lap traffic, so that could be what Zane needs. Zane just needs Tom slowed a little bit at the wrong time, and that'll go a long way for him. As we get closer and closer to that moment, Speed Bump has made his way past the lap traffic of Sir Doomy as he goes off, letting Tommy Boy by relatively easily, but Tommy panics, goes off the track, and that's going to be Zane's opportunity. Zane gets by, as well as Lando now finding himself right behind Tommy Boy and pushing with some force. Causes a little bit of contact between the two. He doesn't, rather it's just Tommy Boy gets the early turn in, and Lando too quick on the gas and causes himself a little bit of a spin. So almost a shakeup there. I mean, a slight shakeup as Zay Ninja able to get the position away from Tommy Boy, now 0.7 seconds ahead. But Lando almost had the move on Tommy Boy, just barely missed it. Oh, I misunderstood. That wasn't Tommy Boy. I'm sorry. That was Sir Doomy that Lando needed to get around and had contact with. So that was actually a blue flag car. Does change the situation slightly. I got confused on who was who.
Happens to me all the time.
Yeah. But we got Tommy Boy chasing down Zay Ninja now, looking for his position back. He's been creeping back a tenth at a time, a little bit quicker than Ninja was able to creep up on him. So we'll see if he can make something happen in the next few laps. There is 8 minutes remaining, so plenty of time still to go. The track is starting to get a little bit more spread out as we've reached the portion where the lead cars are starting to have to work their way through some lap traffic in small batches. Everybody at this point is just kind of hoping for a mistake from the guy ahead, except for these two right here, Tommy Boy and Zay Ninja, a battle that's been going on since lap 1 and shows no sign of stopping.
These guys are very evenly matched, especially in this car at this track. They both have incredible pace, and it just seems that Zay Ninja has been just a little bit more consistent this evening. But Tommy Boy looking to close this gap right up and make the moves. Tommy seems to be getting a little bit excited here, going slightly deep there, which is going to cost him some time overall, about 5/10 or half a second to Zay Ninja ahead. Hopefully Tommy Boy can keep his composure and just crank out those laps, shrinking the gap further and further, because Zay has shown that he is not one to make a mistake. Been incredibly consistent this evening.
Yeah, as we see up ahead here, we are really getting into a trafficy patch. All of these cars coming together from a couple of different laps. You've got P10 and P9 battling it out in front, Nate, Wynn, and Ben. That's going to be an interesting one for these guys to get through. As Tommy Boy going a little bit wide once more. Oh, Nate removing himself from the traffic equation, respecting the blue flag to its fullest extent. But Tommy Boy taking the sand hard. That's not going to be great for him as he drops 2 seconds and counting to Zay Ninja ahead. That's very unfortunate.
For sure. I mean, you're trying to squeeze out as much time as possible out of the track, and but as soon as you go over that line, it starts to punish you. And I think Tommy has found that limit.
As Zay Ninja gets by the lapped car of Nate Wynn with some ease there. It's nice to see some clean racing from the guys in front, letting these guys try and catch up. Worth noting, speed bump only 5 seconds ahead, despite having nearly a second faster qualifying time, if I remember correctly. We're going to check in with Ben now. Seems like he might have had a little bit of an issue. Seems like he had some cut infractions looking at the FIA board, so I think that's going to be affecting his drive as he's trying to keep things clean now at this point to avoid the penalty. We see some interesting stuff going on in front here. I think that's actually going to be, is that Patchy in front of him?
I'm not sure.
Can't get a good look at the moment. We'll cheat for a second. It's actually going to be Sir Doomy in front of him. So that was Ben's opponent in P10 that he was looking to try and catch up with. As he does allow for Josh Pensy to get by him in that turn with a little mistake there. That was an interesting moment.
Goes for sure. We've seen a few interesting off-roading moments this race so far. I know we'll see quite a few more as we get into the last couple minutes and the second race. And there we are with that awesome door open once again. The broken AC system of, I think that is Castro up ahead, just airing out the cockpit a little bit.
Now, worth noting, Josh Fulton at one point was about 50 seconds back from the car in front. Now finds himself 7.4 seconds away and counting. So, making some tremendous pace, showing some good signs of where he'll be for race 2. And with the reverse grid, he might actually be in a pretty good position to make up for some points here. We do see, almost a little bit of contact there as Castro rejoins. We've also got the lapping car of Lando trying to make his way around. Loses a little bit of time there, but not too much. As I'm sure he wishes he was a little bit closer to try and catch a draft from Nate in front. Oh, and just sends it a little bit too hard. You can hear those brakes burning up. And I think he just lost the ability to turn in with that. You can hear them now just running a little hot. He's going to be itching for that main straightaway to cool them back down. That makes things a little bit tricky. Jump over to Tommy Boy, though. He's slowly dipping in to that distance to Zane Ninja in front. Emphasis on slowly right now, as Zane is holding some very consistent lap times. His last one, a 1:12.5. Tom, a 1:12.4. So only making up a tenth at that point. We'll see what happens on this go around.
Zane's has been driving is extremely smart. He knows that there is still a gap here, and there's only a few laps left. And that if any mistake that he makes from trying to push the car too hard will result in a bigger issue than just losing a tenth or two each lap due to Tommy pushing as hard as he can.
Yeah, I mean, Tommy is definitely hammering it down the straightaway. I think he's got his left turn signal on. Yeah, he definitely does.
Tommy seems like he is preferring the left turn today. A little NASCAR moment there.
You know, I've noticed a lot of racers have that, so I wonder if that's like a me thing. Oh, it's Josh Fulton. We miss the pass, but manages to pull it off using, I'm assuming, the speed from that main straightaway. Gets by as Ben has a little bit of an issue with his entrance. And lets Josh run away a little bit further. Josh now only 1 second to make up to Sir Doomy in front, who sends things a little bit wide. That's going to give Josh a chance to make his way into the top 10 today. And he is inching closer and closer. He might have the opportunity. The clock is starting to wind down a little bit. I think there's going to be 2 more laps for these guys beyond this, as they will not get lapped again by speed bump behind, I don't believe. But Josh now 30 seconds to make up to Nate Wynn in front. I don't believe that one is going to be in the cards. So we'll let him move on for a minute as we jump to this secondary battle. We've got Bullet with a front row seat to Ben and Sir Doomy fighting their way back and forth for P11. Currently, the closest battle on the track.
Indeed. And Bullet is just going to try and keep himself out of this mix here, just to get past or stay behind, as he doesn't seem to have too much pressure from any car behind taking his P7 away. If I'm him, I'm not going to get myself involved too much, especially with this one final lap remaining.
Yeah, I'm honestly, I was going to say just enjoying the show, but man, I think that one was more of a pool shot than our typical bowling euphemism, but we see all the cars trying to get back on the road here. Sir Doomy, I think, is the one who takes that one the hardest as he loses the position from Ben. He now has 1 second to make up on what will not be the final lap. He'll get one more lap to try and make something happen. Nate Wynn, it looks like, gets the pass on Castro, as Castro has a little bit of a off-track incident, judging by the live timings. As Ben struggles with that final corner, putting Sir Doomy right in his drafting range for their final shot at the main straightaway. Doomy gonna go for the inside, has to go on the grass a little bit, and we have contact once more between the two. Doomy kind of was forced into an awkward position there, so does continue onwards with the track, and that will be Ben moving forward now to try and wrap things up. So Speed Boy, Zane Ninja, and Tommy Boy have all wrapped things up for P1, 2, 3, and 4 in a tremendous drive by all 4 of them. Patchy here with superbly consistent laps finds himself 24 seconds ahead of P6 as he locks down the final position in the top 5. We then have Josh Penzie that we are looking at now, 15 seconds left in his lap, as we got a few more guys coming around the grid. That's going to be Josh Fulton locking down the top 10 in front of him as we see him hammer his way through. and Josh Penzi finishing within a second of the lead cars. We also have Bullet swinging across the line, not terribly far behind is P11, Sir Doomy, and behind that, the one who found himself the victim of misfortune in some of the last laps. Just a racing incident gone awry. From initial observations, obviously we always leave that to the stewards, but Ben bringing us home for race 1 to round off your top 12. I mean, I'll take that for a race, huh?
That was a wonderful race. Quite an interesting one to say the least.
The second one's going to be even more interesting.
Oh, for sure. To see Zane now driving the opposite way down the main straight, may have gotten himself locked in the pits there for a bit. But yeah, it definitely was a very interesting race. We had lots of battles going on around the track, and you talked about seeing 3 or 4 groups that on the track, and that's exactly what we saw. But overall, great race, great start to our season 7 of the GT Championship here at Triple R. I'm really excited for race 2 with this reverse grid.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very excited to see where Josh Fulton lands. He's definitely got himself into a decent position. If he can get ahead of those 2 cars in front, 3 cars in front, I believe, he'll be in a really good spot because he does seem to have the pace to kind of break free from the pack while those initial lap 1 incidents all sort themselves. But he's got to get through them.
For sure. And I'm just looking at now seeing some of the after race comments from some of these racers. We're seeing Josh Fulton saying that his front end was actually clipping into the ground for the first 2 or 3 laps and had to teleport his car to the pits to reset it. That's why we saw him a lap down, but did an amazing job to come back and get himself a few positions after dealing with that really unfortunate event. Now it's just a few minutes left before we...
Oh, I was just going to say, that's a great race. But anyway, you're saying?
Most definitely. I'm just saying that we have only a few more minutes until race 2 gets underway.
Yeah.
You see everyone has been sent back to the pits for their mandatory few minutes before they get moved back onto the grid.
Can't be...
I will say...
I was going to say, it can't be too much longer till the race starts, just because with 1 minute and 11 seconds of a lap, the overtime isn't too bad.
Nope, not at all. I did want to point out that Zane, for being one of his more debut races here at Triple R, at least on the live broadcast, he put up a 1:11.996, and Speed Bump's best lap was a 1:11.930. So extremely close racing there. The only 2 drivers on the grid that were able to put up an 11 at race pace. So extremely well done from both of those drivers today.
Yeah, no, I mean, definitely an impressive job by both. I will say it is his actual first season race with RRR, so just even more to that power.
For sure, amazing drive for all of our drivers there in that first race of the season. Now, reverse grid, we're seeing those guys that you saw finish in the top. Now, at the very back of the grid, going to have to fight their way back up as these guys who finish towards the mid and back end of the pack are starting up front. We have Ben, Sir Doomy, Josh Fulton in P3, Arian Castro in P4, Nate Wynn, Bullet, Josh Penzi, Patchy, Botlando, Tommy Boy, Zane Ninja, and Speed Bump. These guys are now finishing up their final adjustments, making sure their fuel calculations are right before these lights go out for race 2 here at Vallelunga.
Yeah, I mean, the nerves got to be running high. There's only 20 minutes left in the first week of the season. You really don't want to land too far down at the bottom of the board, as the first week rankings do depend on placement. So it is a big way, or a big debut that these guys are expecting. But This is going to be an exciting second race here. The reverse grid, always the fun grouping. And, well, it always seems to be where all the action is. But the lights are on for one more. 20 minutes left in week 1, possibly with a little bit of overtime. And away we go. All the cars are off here. We'll see everybody getting a pretty solid start. Zane Ninja and Speed Bump end up immediately in a side-by-side as a 3 wide going on in front of them. That's going to get hairy. So I'm sure we'll see them back off just a little bit. Josh Fulton and Ben going out wide as we see a scary rejoin backing up Tommy Boy and Speed Bump, but not enough for them to worry. We see someone getting spun out in the mix here. Can't see exactly who it's going to be. Bullet, as Nate Wynn gets caught up in that as well. We'll jump over now to Josh Penzie, who's right in the middle of this chaos. Fulton up front with Ben, trying to find a way by as he's got a tight pack behind him. Sees Zane Ninja not too far behind. That's a strong name to be so far up the board. These guys are going to want to try and catch up. Speed Bump currently working his way up to P7 in the middle of that 3-man battle you see up ahead. Oh, and there's contact. Unfortunately, we see Sir Doomy get spun out there following some contact, I think, with Adrian Castro. Adrian Castro ends up withdrawing from the race following those events. So never something you want to see. We're going to jump a little further up in the grid. Zane Ninja, Patchy, Fulton, and Ben all looking for a way through. Fulton unfortunately spins into the wall. This is a precarious place to do so. Gonna have to find a way through. Oh, and that sends these racers wide. They both managed to keep going. It was a tough one. I know he was trying to just spin it quickly, but unfortunately does cause a little bit of chaos. Still manages to keep going. This is now Patchy and Zane Ninja's battle to try and take away P1. While we say that, though, Sir Doomy and Tommy Boy have their own position change going into committee. A lot of jockeying around as we try and figure out who's ending up where. Zane Ninja, it looks like, going wide to avoid contact with the racer in front. As Patchy managing to get by, will try and start walking away if he can. These short tracks definitely bring some interesting chaos, don't they? Wow, we got 3 wide through the exit for a second there. As I want to say that is Lando backing off just a little bit to let things straighten out.
Definitely Speed Bump, definitely very assertive there on his pass around the outside, trying to make up as much time as possible here early on in race 2. We do see Lando close on the rear bumper of Speed Bump heading down into this long curve straight here before we have the first heavy braking zone of the lap.
Ooh, I thought he might go.
Probably just get a little bit sideways there, loses a little bit of his exit speed from loss of traction out of that right-hander. It does not seem to have lost too much time, still within 1 second, not quite within drafting range yet of Speed Bump ahead, as Speed Bump is looking to close the gap to Zane Ninja there in P2. And Patchy seems to be just kind of running away with it here. No pressure from the cars behind currently. But you see Zane having to go a bit defensive there to cut that inside line away from Speed Bump before we head into the more tight section of this circuit.
Yeah, I mean, Zane knows his best bet is to get in front of Patchy and use him as a little bit of a blocker to Speed Bump. He can't let Speed Bump get by before they catch up, but he also can't spend too much time behind Patchy. So it's a delicate dance that he's got to do here. And with Lando pushing Speed Bump from behind, this is going to be a tricky one for them to watch. Tommy Boy is going to be looking for a move on Ben in just a moment. Same with Josh Penzie on Bullet. So we're going to jump over for just a second and see if Tommy Boy can maybe make something happen with the late break. Might not have to, as the sand comes into play. And Tom's acceleration will be enough to get him through, taking things very wide. A little bit naughty there from one of our more veteran racers, but he continues on his path. We'll see if that comes back in the penalties later on. Josh Penzie going wide in Samini, having a little bit of an issue trying to get back on the gas before Doomy and Nate come through. and it seems like he might be able to. We're going to jump back over to Bot Lando, who's hot on the heels of Speed Bump, trying to apply the pressure and maybe even help Zane Ninja out a little bit as this four-man battle for P1 continues. This could help Tommy Boy.
It definitely will help Tommy if these guys continue to fight, slowing their own lap times down. He will have plenty of time to get as close as he can. As Zane does go defensive here, tries to cut off that inside line. Will he have enough to just keep it alongside as we see almost 3 wide down into the first heavy braking zone? Zane just stays alongside, and Speed goes a little bit deep, then cuts it off, takes the line back, and keeps his P2.
Yeah, Zane doing a great job there. Both racers getting close to a quick little exchange. Bot Lando now very much in the mix, gonna pick up the pieces if something goes wrong. Zane doing a great job of using up that track. He's about 3 cars wide, but still leaving just a car's length out there for speed. So it's definitely a good battle, and it's helping Patchy out as now these guys are 2 seconds away from Patchy in front. You see another group slowly forming. Bullet and Josh Fulton are now hot on the heels of Benz, who seems like he might have had a small bit of an incident. We'll jump over as Josh Fulton is directly behind him, looking for a way by. Seems like he might be able to pull one off around the final corner. Can he make the move in Roma? He does, and looks to stick it out on the gas and follows through. Bot Lando with a front row seat to Speed, looking down the inside, or sorry, the outside of Zane Ninja, realizes there won't be the space and has to reset for another one. But man, he's got great acceleration down this back straight. He might get another opportunity.
For sure, and Zane's put his car exactly where he needed to put his car. Just covering off enough to not let Speed Bump through in these tighter sections. Parking that car right on the apex, not giving him the... as we see contact there with Speed Bump and Zane. And Speed Bump seems to just outbrake himself just a little bit. And puts himself in the back of Speed Bump.
Yeah, and he slowed down to try and let Zane get by. But Zane, I think, got a little bit confused, or maybe just kind of blamed himself and didn't take that opportunity. So both racers carrying on, but now Bot Lando makes it through with a 2-second lead. We do see Nate Wynn slowly closing in on Doomy in front. Same goes for Fulton on Bullet a little further up ahead. But we'll see if we can catch this pass as Nate tries to crack into the top 10 here. As he looks to the inside, has an opportunity, but has a little moment with the throttle, not able to follow through, and will have to reset to find a new chance. We're gonna look back over to our top 4 here. Zane Ninja still looking for the chance on Speed Bump. He's at least, or was staying within a second. Of course, as soon as we leave, Doomy goes off track, giving Nate Wynn that P10 position. So that is a reverse broadcaster's curse there for Doomy, you know?
For sure. I will say I do think that Zane is extremely strong in these slower sections that require a little bit less downforce. Seems very confident on the brakes, and is where he seems to be making up his time on Speed Bump ahead.
Yeah, he's doing a tremendous job of keeping that pressure on Speed, getting very, very close, and sticking almost within that drafting range, but not quite. We are going to jump over to Josh Fulton as he looks for an opportunity on Bullet here. If he can make this pass, he's got 10 minutes to make up 10 seconds to Tommy Boy ahead. And looking at the lap times, he can do that. His best lap currently a 13.7, Tommy Boy's a 13.2. If he gets out into open air, who knows, he might be able to do that. They do have a 20-kilometer-an-hour tailwind down this front straight. It is a headwind, obviously, on the other side, but man, that is a nice little gust to go alongside you.
Most definitely, Josh seems a little bit apprehensive to make a move there. He was right up on the bumper of Bullet. but just decided that wasn't the right time to do it, and he's going to look for another opportunity coming up shortly.
Yeah, again, having to line himself up, find another opportunity. Not that he won't be able to, but just takes a little bit of time to reset. And it gets tricky when you've got the car bouncing around in front of you. Obviously, those lag issues are not something within Bullet's control necessarily, but it does make it a little bit tricky to calculate your passing opportunity in some stretches. We'll see exactly what he's capable of as Josh tries to get through here. See if he can get on the gas and get within that drafting range. We do see that gap to Bullet in front staying a little bit stagnant. Josh not really putting too much pressure on still. He's waiting and waiting for that opportunity. It's a nice game of patience, but patience is not something that Bot Lando has, as he's now crept within a second of Patchy in front. So we'll give Josh one more straightaway to try and make something happen before we bounce over to that battle for P1 that's slowly breaking out through the final corners of the track. Oh, and it's like Josh heard us. He knew that he had one more corner to make the move, and he took it, goes in for a nice dive and powers through, leaves space, has the grip, makes the corner. That is the type of passing that we like to see. So we'll let Josh try and work on extending that lead as Lando tries to shrink one to his compadre, the other blue 47 racer on the track of Patchy from across the pond. It's been pointed out that this is Patchy's 4th GT3 season, so a little bit of seniority versus seniority here, Lando and Patchy, as Speed Bump and Zay Ninja still working to try and catch up behind. There's 8 minutes left to go, though, so if these guys get to battling, that could definitely help them out.
Most definitely, that's going to shrink the gap to Speed Bump, and if Speed Bump gets in this mix here, we will definitely see Zane also hop in there as well. I will say Lando is lapping significantly quicker currently than Patchy is. They have about a second gap when it comes to best lap of the session, but it does not mean that Patchy isn't being extremely consistent and putting in solid lap time after solid lap time. Lando just needs to bide his time and look for his opportunity to make the move on Patchy in front.
Yeah, and I mean, you can see him sizing up Patchy in front, taking a couple looks to the inside. He hasn't actually gone for a full-on dive yet, but he's just trying to see what Patchy's reaction will be in the moment. We'll see another fake here, I think. Doesn't get close enough to really pull one off, but does look to the inside again. Yeah, I think that's where it's going to be. He's going to find a way through on that inside. I think he's noticed that when Patchy sees it coming, he does leave a car's width of space. I think he's more interested in keeping his car on the track than getting the overall win today.
Lando looks for it. It doesn't quite get his car alongside to give himself the space there, but stays just on the bumper of Patchy as we now see Speed Bump right on the heels, breaks super late into the hairpin, and sacrifices a little bit of his corner exit, but does stay still right up on these guys within a second. And this should for sure give Zane the ability to catch up a little bit with these guys fighting up here.
Yeah, I mean, as predicted, that battle going on between the two blue racers in front definitely cost them enough time. Speed Bump, one fierce competitor in that 76 car, is coming up with some speed, but if these guys get into a three-way battle, we've seen the pace that Zane can put on. I think that's going to make things even more interesting. And there's still 6 minutes remaining, so anything could happen here. We do have two racers who have withdrawn from the race, Sir Doomy and Castro at this point. So we do have our top 10 kind of locked in place as to who will be in the top 10, but a few battles yet to be resolved. Nate Wynn still looking for a move on Ben down there in the hunt for P9, as Lando still looking for that inside pass on Patchy. As you hear the squeals of all the brakes as these guys hammer through. And they are beating these cars to the ground here with 5 minutes remaining. You can tell that the cars feel it. You can tell that they feel it. Very curious to see who is going to get the next opportunity. Does seem like Nate Wynn might have a chance pretty soon, and I do want to give him the chance to show us what he's got. We're going to jump over for just a second, see if that late break works out for him. It so far does not, as he switches positions right back. We'll see if maybe Botlando can do the same in a moment, as Nate going to be able to stay around the outside, carries that speed, and is able to make it work and take P9 for now. We do see Botlando and Patchy kind of getting into a little bit of a chaos, slowing down speed bump and giving Zane Ninja a couple tenths on the battle. That's going to make things a little bit more interesting. Speed has been watching. I think Speed realizes Botlando's going to kind of cover off that inside, so he's going to have to get creative on the outside if he wants to make a move. And that's a tough one to do at this track. There's not a lot of elevation. There's really no camber to the track, so very hard to get grip on that outside lane. But if anyone's going to find a way to do it, you'd think it'd be Speed Bump, as Zane Ninja already within a second of this pack.
Zane is doing exactly what he needs to do, capitalizing on these three fighting ahead. Has cut out already over a second and a half to what the original gap was, a little over 2.5 seconds, now down to under a second, as he's looking for his podium finish. Would be the second of the night if he did, which is a great way to start his Triple R career. He does get a little bit sideways, loses a tiny bit of his corner exit speed, but doesn't seem to have lost him too much time overall. Still within under a second to the guys ahead as they make their way into the slowest sector of the track. These back-to-back hairpins seem to be producing some really great racing, as Speed Bump does go a tiny bit deep there, coming off the apex just a little bit. As Botlando, this is the first lap, I'd say, that Botlando hasn't had to cover off that inside hairpin in quite a few laps. Zane is capitalizing, now dropped the gap to another few tenths as they head into a super small straight here into this right hairpin to the long straight.
Yeah, Roma is a key corner here. This exit is a very important one, as Botlando is the only one to find himself within that drafting range. So we'll jump up and see if he can make something happen. He needs to get by Patchy if he wants to continue to hold up off Speed Bump. Although I say that, and he's been doing it for about 4 minutes now. So honestly, if these guys can just keep the pace as it is, they might be okay. Patchy doing a tremendous job of just being consistent out front. He hasn't really pulled any strong defensive maneuvers. He's left the space on the inside for Botlando to try something if he wanted to, but with the ball being so far in Botlando's court, if he's going to make a move, it's got to be a clean one. He's leaving only one car's worth of space. Yep, you see, and if he's not perfect, they will collide. The Botlando backs off because he doesn't want to take the position like that. That gives Speed a chance to look to the inside, causes a little bit of contact.
You see Zane.
Oh, and Zane goes through in a Hamilton type of moment. Speed Bump gets spun out. It's going to get moving again, but Tommy Boy is going to be right there behind him, only 1.4 seconds away. Got to figure out where we're at here. Yep, Botlando behind the Ninja, who is now going to have his opportunity at Patchy in front. We'll see if Tommy Boy comes alive here, seeing Speed Bump so close within that striking distance, as we're going to have only 2 laps left to get things settled. This is the first time Tommy Boy is going to have a little bit of a chance here, although as I say that, Zane's definitely going to have an opportunity in these next few moments. Patchy going wide and Zane there to capitalize. Didn't need to wait long. Gets to that outside lane and continues moving on. We got Patchy and Botlando now having a fight of their own as Zane tries to begin his walk away, hopefully to victory as a newcomer.
That would be a very stellar drive if Zane can keep this in P1. That'd be a P2, P1 finish for him this evening. Absolutely stellar drive. He currently doesn't hold the fastest lap. That goes to Botlando, and didn't hold it in the previous race, so he will miss out on those two points. But should overall, if he does maintain this P1, will be leading the championship after week 1. Then we see a huge
Ooh.
bit of contact with Vallelunga with Patchy as Vallelunga just kind of outbreaks himself and puts it into the back of Patchy there.
Oh
The speed
man.
bump making his way through, as well as Tommy Boy as Vallelunga does do the gentlemanly thing and wait for Patchy, but Patchy can't seem to quite get it back on track
Yeah, I
and
was gonna
rolling
say.
forward.
All right, so Patsy finally able to get moving again. Balando was still waiting for him. To Balando's credit, let that battle between Speed Bump and Tommy Boy go by. So I think we'll have one final last lap battle between Botlando and Patchy as the rest of the grid continues around. But Zane Ninja, the story of the night, the newcomer, 8 seconds ahead of Speed Bump. That is a tremendous place to be. Rounding your final corners of the track, it looks like we aren't going to have any final passing opportunities. So let's check in with our real rookie race winner, Zay Ninja. A tremendous performance here in the Aston Martin tonight, rounding Roma to carry this thing home in the number 13 Aston Martin. It's really been an absolutely stellar race by him as he crosses the line to finish out race 2. Honorable mention goes to Speed Bump, of course, who was right there nipping at the heels. Tommy Boy carrying home the final slot on the podium, only a second away from Speed Bump, capitalizing with his consistency on a little bit of misfortune ahead. We then have Patchy and Lando rounding out our top 5 as Ben follows out top 10. Josh Fulton coming around the final bend here is Bullet, chased relatively closely by Josh Penzi, the man you see right there at the back of your screen now. And we'll follow everything home with Nate Wynn. I don't know why I keep saying Nick, but Nate Wynn, the it looks like the Italian man, judging by the flag, heading through Roma, feeling comfortable as he takes home P9. Another tremendous performance. I think we had a nice full battle grid here. What do we got going on here? Look at these guys. Do a little victory lap together. Cool down laps going on here. Okay. Usually it's a dog pile, so this is a step up for us people. For those who haven't watched the chaos.
We may still get a little bit of that here towards the very end, but it seems like everyone's kept it pretty clean so far.
Yeah.
We see Zay Ninja throwing a couple of drifts around the final corner, rounding off his cool down lap, and an amazing drive once again from these drivers, especially Zay Ninja being a complete rookie or having this being his first season race with Triple R. Amazing job as well to the rest of our drivers who raced today. Awesome for first race of the season here. Excited for what's to come for the rest of the season.
Yeah, definitely a strong showing for week 1, and nothing we can do but look forward to week 2. I guess I'll see you for the next one, Java.